Are you looking for some Christmas card ideas, particularly for 5x7 cards? Love this big surface to work on. Hi, I'm Jess from jesscrafts.com, and I'm here to help you get the most of your crafty supplies and time. So let's get started. Today I have a no scrap template for 6x8 pattern paper. I have a bunch of supplies from scrapbook.com. Scrapbook.com has supplied me with some Christmas themed supplies, so just to be clear about that relationship, so I wanted to share them with you. So I'm going to use the Peppermint pattern collection. There's also a Christmas paper pad that is really pretty too, but I like that this one you can do some wintry things or some Christmas things depending on what you're kind of in the mood for. And I know it's only July, but I thought why not some Christmas in July themes. So this template uses, as I said, 6x8 paper, makes a 5x7 card, but I'm going to use the paper on its side. So if I have a paper like this with the Christmas trees, where this is clearly the top of the paper, it's a directional pattern paper, it's not going to work very well for this sketch unless I turn the sketch on its side as well. So if I were to cut these apart and then assemble it as a vertical card, all of these would now be sideways. But if I cut them apart and then I assemble it as a horizontal card, it works. So that's the little adjustment we're going to do today. We're going to pick one of these beautiful papers that I love, but that is facing the wrong way for this sketch, and we're just going to make the sketch work for us. Okay, ooh, so many pretty papers in this collection. I'm just like really in love with the pink and red. Love this pattern, but this one really catches my eye a lot, and the back will look great as well. I think I'm going to use pink for my cardstock mats in this case, if at all possible. And I love that these scrapbook.com pads coordinate perfectly with their cardstock collection. So I can know that I don't have to pick out a color of cardstock for my stash that will work. I can just get the coordinating cardstock packs. I start by cutting my 6x8 sheet to 4x6. Then I'm going to cut a 4x4 square. That's going to be the main focal panel. And then I want to cut the remaining 2 inches into 1-inch strips. And I'll do that twice because this makes 2 cards per sheet of 6x8 paper. So again, cutting it to 4x4 and then 1x4 by cutting that 2-inch piece in half. Then we're going to cut some cardstock mats. This time, I'm actually only going to use mats that are an 1/8 inch bigger. Typically, I would use cardstock mats that are a 1/4 inch bigger. But in this particular case, that's not going to work out so well because I'm just going to run out of room on my 5x7 card. So let's go with, this is 4 1/4, so if I was doing 1/4 inch, that would work out super well. But I'm just doing 1/8 of an inch more. And so I'm doing 4 1/8. And as you can see, it creates quite a small border, but just enough. And then hopefully I can get one of my mats for the little strips that'll go on the side, and I can. And I'll do the same thing here. And I will cut enough for both cards, but I won't show you every single step for both cards, just because I'll try to save some time here. So the second card will sort of be assembled off screen, or I'll probably make it as a little Instagram reel or something like that. Okay, so now I have all the basic pieces for my card. And I want to also use these word dies from scrapbook.com, the block outline Christmas dies. But I have this big chunk of paper that is mostly going to be covered. And so why not cut one of my word dies out of this piece? I've taken double-sided adhesive sheets from scrapbook.com and I've added it to the back of this large mat that I'm going to use. And I want to cut my words merry and jolly out of this because I can cut both at one time from a single mat. And why not do both if we're here? Then this has this block outline. So I could just cut these and use them as is, but I like to be able to mix up the colors with them. So I'm gonna cut the same merry and jolly also out of a piece of red cardstock from the same peppermint smooth cardstock, and I've added that double-sided sticky tape behind this as well. Okay. I have my die cuts, and I also need to think about how I want to assemble the card. Do I want to use all the same pattern on the card, or do I want to flip it over and use the opposite side? I personally am just a big fan of mixing patterns, especially in the instances where all of the thinking about it work has been done for me. So I'm going to mix it up. I'm going to use 2 different patterns. And I know because somebody designed this paper this way, it is going to coordinate perfectly. It looks like I messed up my measurements somehow, did I? I did. I didn't quite cut these ones quite small enough, so we'll fix it now. For whatever reason, I didn't trim that little extra 1/8 of an inch off of these ones. And I am using the scrapbook.com permanent adhesive roller. It's pretty, there's like a nice grip on it if you like a bigger one to hold in your hand, but it's very light. And they had that as a freebie recently. And actually around the time that they had an amazing deal on these paper pads, and that's why I really wanted to make sure I feature these paper pads in a couple of videos, because I know a lot of you bought the paper pads and I really appreciate your support in purchasing them through my link. So thank you. I cannot say thank you enough for doing that. I really appreciate when you guys use those links in the video description. So I have my merry and jolly, and now instead of this being wasted, I'm going to be able to tape my pattern paper on top of it. I will add the adhesive mostly around the edges since the inside is kind of missing anyway. And then I need to, as I mentioned before, make sure that these are cut down to the right length. I don't know, maybe it would be easier to do it with my paper trimmer, but I have my scissors out and my paper trimmer's not. So let's see if that will do it. And then, as I mentioned before, rather than just making the whole word pink, which you absolutely could have done, I'm going to mix the pink and red. So I'll show you what that will look like. You can take out the individual letters, and I'm going to set them aside in a little bowl just because I don't want to lose any of them, and they're already sticky on the back. You could try and make sure you get the backing with them, but that's going to be a little bit more challenging, and since I'm going to be using these all right away, I'm not too worried about just kind of laying them gently like this in one of the many little bowls that I have around in my craft room for holding little things like that. So now I can take the jolly word, and I guess the decision would be whether you want the pink or the red to be on the outside and then which color you want on the inside. I think because the background of the paper is red, having the pink on the outside is going to stand out much more. So I am going to put the pink as the outline word down here. I want to know, I'm thinking do I want to put an additional sentiment above or below it? I don't think so. I think this could be one of those instances where because the pattern paper itself is so pretty and has so much detail on it, I maybe don't even need to add in anything else besides this little jolly word here. And then, as you can see, when I add that red in, much more readable. It was really getting lost in there for a second. And if you personally don't like how matchy monochromatic I'm going right now, definitely pick one of the other colors from the collection because they're still going to look beautiful. They do still coordinate, and then use that as your word dye instead. And as you can see there, I was able to make sure the O was perfectly placed by just adding the inside of the O. I added the outside O first and then placed that inside back in. And of course you can use these separately. You don't have to put them back together. So if you wanted to sort of double, and that's what would be nice about these, is that you could get one set of letters for one card and then the outline for another card, and that could save you some time. The reason that I cut this out of the center of this paper instead of pushing it off to the side is I think because I have both the red and the pink, so I have like double the sentiments, I'm probably going to just make another set of these cards and use these, but then I'll pick a paper that maybe doesn't have as much red in the background, and then I'll use these, and then this will become my cardstock matte. So I'm trying not to be wasteful. It might look like I am, but that's the thought behind it there. And then we're basically ready to assemble our card, and this has adhesive on the back if I just peel this sheet off. Now, obviously, if you are like getting these sheets of adhesive, they can be maybe a little bit more pricey than like a tape runner or something. So if that's the case, then you could limit how much of the tape or the adhesive you use on the back. But now I'm ready to go and just stick this down. If you found this video inspiring, here's another video where you can find more ideas for enjoying your crafty time and supplies. Let me know you like this video with a share to your crafty community. Subscribe and click the bell so you don't miss the next template or tutorial. And check the video description for product links. See you in the next video!